Alright YouTube, what is going on? I wanted to make a quick list today on what I believe to be the top 5 Abyss gears within Crimson Desert. I have around 200 hours of playtime, pretty much beat all of the quests and all of the bosses within the game. So I wanted to inform you guys on which Abyss gears have helped me do that. I'm going to explain to you guys why each one is unique, why you should be using them, and also how to get them. Now, please know a lot of this list is subjective, but I do think the ones in the top 5 are very, very good. You probably could switch the order on a couple of them, but without further ado, let's just get right into it. Starting off here at number 5, I have Crow's Pursuit. Crow's Pursuit is going to be an Abyss gear that you can equip on your melee weapons, and the main function of Crow's Pursuit is that when you use your attack, it is right click for me, the secondary attack. It's going to summon a group of crows that are going to go out and track nearby enemies. Unfortunately, this does come at the cost of additional stamina, but I think regenning stamina in a fight is a lot easier than regenning spirit. This was one of the gears that pretty much since I got it, I haven't taken it off my loadout, and I use it to defeat every boss in the game, including the hardest ones, the overwhelming beings. It can be really good just as a supplemental DPS option. Now, the crows don't do any crazy damage, but it's just constant damage on top of what you're already doing with your right click. And the fact that you don't have to like aim it or really do anything special, it's just kind of there and it's passive, I think makes it very good. Now, in order to get the Crow's Pursuit, you're going to have to progress the main quest through Chapter 5, which is pretty early. And at the end of Chapter 5, you're going to defeat a boss called Crow Collar, and he will drop the gear on its sword. So yeah, overall, Crow's Pursuit is very, very solid. Would recommend leaving it on your guys' swords once you do get it. And for the next one, coming in at number 4, I decided to put Graysoul Howling there. Graysoul Howling is an Abyss gear that is going to buff your Turning Slash ability. Now, the Turning Slash ability within Crimson Desert not only is very easy to use, but it is a very, very good ability, and it's what I use to like do most of my damage to bosses or if I'm just fighting large groups of enemies. Now, the way Graysoul Howling actually works is once you use your Turning Slash, it's going to have a phantom of the boss you actually get it from, unleash a strike of shadow energy to the enemy that you're fighting. You don't have to do anything extra, which is very nice. It's also just kind of passive there, and it'll happen when you use your Turning Slash. I think the only thing that really holds Graysoul Howling back is that the phantom does take a little bit to come out. Unfortunately, that does cause it to miss sometimes. Basically, the knockback from the Turning Slash can hit an enemy too far to where the phantom will not hit it, unfortunately. I think they easily could improve this if they just decrease the timing from when the phantom comes out after the Turning Slash. A lot of the other ones on this list are instant that I will mention, so I do think that makes them a little bit better. However, Graysoul Howling does do a good amount of damage at the cost of additional spirit. This was another one that I also just like haven't taken off of my loadout since I did get it, and it is very, very solid. In order to get Graysoul Howling, you're going to have to defeat the boss Goyen. I believe he is in Chapter 9. And also a quick note on that boss fight, after you do defeat Goyen, there's actually a sword you're going to have to walk up and to the right in order to get. So yeah, Graysoul Howling, it's going to supplement your Turning Slash damage quite a bit, and it is very, very solid. Moving on to number 3, we have Momentum. There's honestly not that much I can say about Momentum. It's pretty straightforward in what the function is. Basically, Momentum is going to add an additional 35% damage to your Turning Slash ability. As I mentioned before, Turning Slash is very good in this game, and it's kind of the move that I use to chunk down all of the bosses that I fight. So the fact that we are able to make that even better is very, very solid. And the reason I also have this at number 3 is because it is a passive effect. So you're not going to have to do anything else to use it, and it's also not going to use any additional stamina and spirit. Unless you're doing like an archer build or something, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't have this on your build. If you're using some kind of sword, axe, one-handed, two-handed, it doesn't really matter. You should be using Momentum. I really, really recommend this one. Not only that, but it is the one on this list that you can get the earliest in your playthrough. It's just going to be under the E and Hernan if you're looking at the map at the Sanctum of Benediction. You will have to do an easy puzzle to get it. You basically just have to light some lanterns, and then you walk through a doorway and loot the treasure chest. Another good thing about Momentum is you can put it on your armor. You don't have to take up a weapon slot to use it, so I think that also gives it a reason to be above the last 2 that I mentioned. So yeah, make sure you guys get this one. It's very, very good, I promise. And yeah, let's move on to number 2. Alright guys, so for the number 2 spot, I'm actually going to put 2 here because they're pretty much the same exact thing. One is just a lava version and one is just a frost version. So those 2 mods are going to be Ground Surge and Frost Spike. Now essentially what they are both going to do is they're also an additional buff to your Turning Slash. They both are equipable on melee weapons, and basically once you use your Turning Slash, there is going to be a frontal cone of little shatters that pop out of the ground, and they are also going to do additional damage. I'd say one downside downside to both of these is that they are going to consume additional spirit, and they may be a little bit more difficult to obtain versus the other ones I mentioned on this list. In order to get Ground Surge, you're going to have to defeat Mi'urden, which I don't believe you fight him until chapter 7 in the main story. Then in order to get Frostspike, which is the frost version of Ground Surge, you're going to have to defeat Baloth, which is one of the 3 overwhelming being bosses within Crimson Desert. In my opinion, the hardest 3 bosses in the entire game. The good thing about these is that even after the additional wave, there's going to be like a second surge, which is going to do even more damage and more knockback. So not only are both of these very, very good for bosses and just getting additional damage on bosses, but even for crowd control, I think they're both very good. If you just pop this in a large group of enemies, it can literally hit everything that's in front of it. And yeah, unfortunately, they do come at the cost of using additional spirit, which is probably why I don't have these at number 1. But just due to the overall utility that you get from these, damage, crowd control, boss damage, I think they're very, very good. And I also think they just add on to what is already one of the best abilities in the game with Turning Slash. Alright, so moving on to number 1, this one actually might be a little controversial. I haven't really seen many people as high on this Abyss gear as I personally am. At the number 1 spot, I have Spirit's Judgment. In order to get this, you have to progress through Chapter 8 and defeat Fortane, the Cursed Knight boss. The boss fight itself is actually pretty easy, so it's not too bad to get. You just will get it a little bit later on in your playthrough. Now, this is equipable on melee weapons, and in order to activate it, you're going to have to do the combo where you dodge and do your primary attack. For me, on keyboard and mouse, that is left control and left click. Now, I additionally was going to put this one around number 4 or even number 5, but upon testing, once I saw the amount of damage that the Knight clones do whenever you summon them, I had to move this up to number 1. This is another one on this list that since I got it, I haven't stopped using it. And what really put this one above the other 4 on this list for me is that it has a lot better utility than just adding supplemental damage. So whenever you summon one of these clones, not only are you going to hit the target with your swords when you do the back dodge, but the clone is going to pop out and it is going to do a considerable amount of damage to whatever is in front of it. And on top of that, it's going to track to the enemy, so it's not really going to miss whether it's a boss, mini boss, or just a normal type enemy. Another really good thing about this is it uses stamina, which I do think is better than spirit. I think stamina is way easier to get back in a fight, and spirit is more annoying to get back. So the amount of clones you're able to just spam if you're in a tight situation is pretty insane. And on top of that, these clones will actually take aggro away from the enemies. It doesn't matter if it's a boss or even just the smaller style enemies. It's going to take the aggro away, which is going to help you create space. So I find in this game, if I'm ever in a tight spot, this is kind of my get out of jail for free card, and I just tend to spam these. So yeah, I am super high on Spirit's Judgment. This is a gear that, like I said, I haven't taken off since I got it to help me to beat the game, help me to defeat every boss, and I highly recommend that you guys put this on your loadout in whatever way that you can. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. If you guys have any thoughts or opinions on my top 5, let me know down below. As I said, this list is mostly subjective. I think the order within the top 5 could probably change around, but I promise you guys these Abyss gears are all very, very good, and I would recommend that you go out and get them. If you guys want me to expand this list into a top 10, I probably could do that, or I could make like a top 5 worst Abyss gears in the game. I'm also taking any ideas for content that you guys want to see on Crimson Desert. I'm kind of at the end game right now, so there isn't much to do. I have thought about downloading a mod to make the game more difficult and doing a new playthrough potentially. It is kind of unfortunate that you can't replay the bosses, because I probably would be going for no hits on all of them and doing some fun challenges like that, but currently I'm just like stuck with a lot of the side quests and a lot of the bounties and more annoying things in Crimson Desert. So yeah, I'll be taking any ideas in the comments down below. If you guys want to see anything in specific, let me know. And if you guys found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, a like goes a long way. I would appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take it easy. Peace.